It's that time once again, folks. With the MLB draft coming up in just a few days, we break to bring you this scouting special. Make sure you drop a like on the video if you enjoy it, as well as subscribe for more franchise content, because that is all we do here as we build winners together. Hit the bell to stay up on all the happenings in this series without fail, and let's see what our scouts have for us today. Last year, we went over some great prospects that are sure to take the majors by storm. We'll drop in on their first seasons and see how they're doing after we take a look at this year's scouting class. We will also take a look at the user-created prospects and see where they are at in their careers. For now, we take a look at the international prospects and how they did with special guest Bach from Octagonal Gaming. Take it away, Octi.
What's going on, everyone? This is Octi from Octagonal Gaming, and today I will be covering some of the international players here that the Tigers could look at drafting. Thank you, FG, for giving me the opportunity once again. I did this last year and had a lot of fun with it, and this year will be no different. So we're going to cover some of the top international players in the draft, guys who the Tigers could end up picking. So without further ado, let's get this show on the road, and we're going to start with shortstop Joaquin Tejada from Cuba. Tejada has the potential to be a solid 5-tool player. Already, he has a major league caliber glove today. He's fast, he can steal bases. He needs to work on his bat a little bit, his contact, his power, vision, discipline. All of it is not great. I would say it's inconsistent. He is 23 years old, which is kind of old for a draft prospect, but I like his upside, and I think he could be a solid major league player given a couple years of development. The only problem is, since he's already 23, I think his peak might be only a few years. Now we look at the Canadian prospect, closer Benny McHugh. McHugh is a blue chip player. He's going to be a top 10 pick. Very talented closer. He has a phenomenal breaking ball, and he's a very well-rounded pitcher. He doesn't do any one thing great, but he does everything pretty well. I think he could be one of the better closers in the majors in a few short seasons. He is a little bit raw, and obviously, as I said, he doesn't excel in one particular thing, but he is a talented player, and I think he's a really good prospect. Now we look at center field prospect Michael Lemons from the Dominican Republic. These next three players will all be from the Dominican Republic. Lemons is a very athletic center fielder who has great speed, quickness, and range. He needs to work on his glove. He does have a pretty solid arm for his age. Okay contact hitter, doesn't have a whole lot of power. I think at his peak, he could be like a 260, 10 to 12 home run guy. Lemons should be a first-round pick, mainly based on his athletic traits and his glove. Now we look at catcher Carlos Torres from the Dominican Republic. He is a blue-chip player in this draft. I'm not as high on Torres as others, but there is a lot of potential with him. He's only 18 years old, but he's extremely raw. His glove is all right. His quickness and athleticism is all right. His hitting numbers are all right. Really nothing special. I guess he has the raw attributes to be pretty good, and I mean, as I said, he's only 18, but I don't know, I just don't really see the potential with him that I do with some of these other prospects. Now we look at starting pitcher Todd Ferreira. Ferreira will be probably a fringe first-rounder, maybe like a compensatory first-round guy. This is a player who I think is a lot more MLB ready than a lot of these other prospects, and he's also only 20 years old. He throws hard, but he doesn't strike out a lot of batters, which I find fairly weird. Other than that, he doesn't allow too many walks, doesn't allow too many home runs. He just needs to strike out more batters. And considering he can throw really hard, 96-mile-an-hour four-seamer, 94-mile-an-hour two-seamer, he can throw hard, so it's just a matter of getting these batters to strike out. Now we look at an outfielder from the Netherlands, Trey Mullins. Mullins is a player I like. He should go round one, in my opinion. He's very fast. Great contact hitter, has good vision and discipline, not a power guy, and he's not phenomenal defensively. I do think he has a lot of upside defensively. He's only 5'8", 168. He's small, and I think he's really raw, but I think in 4 or 5 years, he could be a solid major league player. Sticking with the Netherlands, we will look at one of their catchers, and John Powell. Powell is another very raw player. I think he has a long ways to go before he makes the majors, and the problem with him is that he's already 23, and he's really, not even close to the majors. Now we look at Venezuelan third baseman Anthony Ozuna. This is a player who I really like. I think he has potential to be a 300 hitter one day in the majors. He hits for good contact, won't ever be a huge power guy, has a lot of work to do defensively, does not have a great glove, does have a decent arm, and is fairly fast, but I think he's going to make his money when it comes to getting contact hits, getting singles, stuff like that. I think he's quite raw with the rest of his game, but I do think he has the potential to grow and be a fairly decent major league player in due time. He is 22 years old, which I think does hurt his development, but I like him as a prospect. One of my favorite players we covered here is Puerto Rican catcher Chris Castro. Castro is a really solid bat. He can hit for power, he can hit for contact, and he's a great fielder. The problem is he has very weak arm strength for a catcher. He does not have a great arm. So what I think, whoever picks him should move him to first base. I think he has the bat to be a solid first baseman one day. He can field well enough. He just doesn't have a great arm. So whoever picks him, I think they should move him over to first base, and I think he would excel there. The last and most controversial player to talk about today is Puerto Rican closer Javier Rodriguez. Javier is a top 10 player in this class. There's no question. But he might fall to literally like the 5th round because there are so many character concerns with this kid. He's had many run-ins with the law in the past 5 years. His teammates view him as a distraction. Many scouts and evaluators have told their teams not to draft him. But if you do draft him, obviously there's baggage that comes with him. But I think he could be an all-star in about 4 or 5 years, so might be worth the risk in the later rounds. That'll do it. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Hopefully the Tigers can draft some of these players because there are a few guys I really like. That'll do it for me, and until next time, I'm out. Peace.
Wow, Octi, great job on the scouting report. Looks like there will definitely be some players to be reckoned with coming from the international ranks in this draft. Make sure you guys check out Octagonal Gaming. His channel is linked in the description below. Drop a sub over there if you like what you see. Now we are on to the College World Series. The tournament this year was out of control crazy. Maryland continued their pedigree by becoming a super regional champion for a 3rd straight year and beating Virginia to become one of the final 4 teams left in the College World Series. Texas took down Texas Tech to become a super regional champion. Texas Tech came into the game with hot starting pitcher Gerald Russo, who stood in Texas with the Red Raiders. Russo has excellent break and velocity, but his control let him down in the game, giving up a couple big bombs to some great Longhorn stars. One of those stars being right fielder Gustavo Guzman, who took the starting job after Andy Bergman went in last year's draft out of Texas. Guzman is a speedy base runner with some contact. Power isn't normally his strong suit, but he got a hold of one off of Russo's extreme fastball and launched it over the right field wall. The game was locked down by relief pitcher Elroy Morse. He will go into the draft as a relief pitcher instead of a closing pitcher because he hasn't been the most clutch pitcher in his career. However, with a 5-run lead, he pitched a scoreless 2 final innings to seal the deal with his extreme breaking balls. Texas would then move on to face Purdue, who knocked out the UNC Tar Heels. The Tar Heels' best player, Percy Williamson, blue chip prospect, who will not take a long time to become a major league player, could not carry North Carolina by himself. Percy is a terrific contact hitter with great plate intangibles. Purdue left fielder Woody Madson's another blue chip prospect who won't take long to reach the bigs. His base running, discipline, and contact put him in prime position to play a great outfield for many years. Purdue really became a Cinderella choice when they made the Final 4 teams by beating the Longhorns in their matchup. Arguably the best player in all of college baseball this year was right fielder Reggie Papp of the Oregon Ducks. Papp is a speedy, durable, pesky contact hitter with fantastic plate vision and discipline. He's not much in the way of fielding, but he's going to be a tough out at any level and could be MLB ready right from the start of his tenure with any organization. But Papp was not enough, even going 4 for 4 with 2 RBIs, to beat the Cal State Fullerton Titans dynamic duo. Both Vinny Zamora and George Lavelle will go into the draft as shortstops. However, Lavelle played second base just so the team could start them both. Zamora was no doubt the better fielder, but both played every game and were the best 1-2 punch speed-wise in a lineup. Neither were power hitters, but both went 4 for 5 with 3 RBIs each in the win over Oregon. The Iowa Hawkeyes went into the College World Series as heavy favorites against Missouri. Iowa was to pitch a highly touted prospect in Andres Ortiz. Ortiz has excellent break and velocity, but has had trouble finding his spots. Not today. He was so on, but unfortunately after 3 scoreless innings, he took a shot in the 4th right to his pitching arm. He was taken out of the game with a 3-run lead thanks to his highly touted teammate, third baseman Pedro Pedroza, who hit a 3-run triple in the 2nd. Pedroza was committed to Illinois, but when he found out he'd be redshirted, he decommitted and went with Iowa. At that point, in the 4th inning, star center fielder for the Missouri Tigers, Brady Maxwell, had 1 at-bat, and it was a walk. The rest of the game, he'd go 3 for 3 with a homer and 5 ribbies to lead the Tigers to a 5-3 comeback win and pulled off one of the biggest upsets this year in the College World Series, according to Vegas. Unfortunately, the luck would run out for Missouri when they met Cal State Fullerton, as the maniac middle infield duo for the Titans again had an excellent day, combining for 6 RBIs in an 8-3 rout to get Cal State into the final 4 teams left in this College World Series. LSU had Jimmy Wilson last year pitching and were disappointed in not making the College World Series. This year they got there by bringing in transfer Bobby Shelton from Pitt. He was unhappy getting redshirted as a freshman and came in as a highly touted sophomore. He would take the mound against Vanderbilt. Shelton has incredible velocity, stamina, break, and clutch. And again, he pitched a gem. That is until the 9th inning, where second baseman Alex Orlowski of Vanderbilt hit an infield hit and stole both second and third base. A sacrifice fly made it easy to bring Orlowski home and win the game 1-0 for Vanderbilt. Orlowski isn't the best hitter, but he's an extremely durable and speedy fielding specialist. He is major league ready. If a hitting coach works well with him, he could develop into an all-star someday. Oklahoma took on Indiana in the last of the 8 super regional matchups. Oklahoma got there on the bat of center fielder Thomas Hughes. Hughes was not being looked at by many scouts due to his age. At 24 years old, he's a graduate transfer, but he had a great season for the Sooners. His combo of speed and power is a rough thing to stop for many teams across the country. His friends back home in Texas always give him crap for being a Sooners fan growing up, and he knew one day not only would he go to Oklahoma, but he would play for the Sooners baseball team. Unfortunately for Hughes, the dream ended as he ran into a buzzsaw that was named Scotty Cherry. Cherry, the ace pitcher for the Hoosiers, only had 3 pitches. He has 3 pitches in his repertoire, but they all break like Madden. He struck out a ton of batters. A lot of scouts believe he could be in the majors early next season, and he pitched a complete game shutout, striking out Hughes once in his 1-for-4 performance. However, Cherry wasn't available against Vanderbilt. Orlowski made 3 incredible plays at second base while going 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and led Vandy to a 4-2 victory. At that point, the Final Four was set. Maryland, still a good team, had no notable MLB draft prospects for this year, and they got blasted by Woody Madsen and the Purdue Boilermakers 6-1. With the Boilermakers set to appear in the College World Series Finals, who would oppose them? Cal State Fullerton was the clear favorite with their extreme middle infield, but that didn't bother Vanderbilt a bit. Zamora and Lavelle had another great day for the Titans, but starting pitcher Tom Shields of the Commodores kept getting out of jams and leaving them stranded on base. Orlowski had the first 3-for-3 game of his career and stole a base every time he got on first. This resulted in the 2 runs that Vanderbilt needed to pull off the 2-1 upset over Cal State Fullerton. Odds makers changed their mind on Vanderbilt after that game. They became the favorites for the finals over Purdue. Orlowski did another great job on the base paths with 3 more steals. However, the hitters behind him just could not bring him home. Woody Madsen, who had been carrying the Boilermakers, was never afraid of adversity. He's from Minnesota, but went to Purdue. He's used to the haters. He had himself a 3-for-3 game with a game-winning gap double to drive in the winning RBI 3-2. Purdue is your current College World Series champions. It's certainly going to be exciting to see which prospects end up where. Who would you like to see the Tigers target in this draft? Let me know in the comments section below. Now let's check in on some MLB ready guys from last year's class. Shortstop Fred Ledford, drafted by the Mariners, could probably be starting in the majors, but they're choosing to keep going with Cesar Izturis Jr. for now. Starting pitcher Dave Katz of the Diamondbacks looks like he could be close to making their starting rotation, if not this year, surely next year. Eddie Aguilera may not have the best potential, but he's already a decent outfielder. However, it's hard for a fringe starter to get playing time on the Dodgers. He is tearing up AAA though. Well, this is embarrassing. I noticed that the Corona we have is not the one I drafted last season. If you were at the last off-season live stream, you know that I had some troubles with some saving and whatnot. However, I am fixing it here and bolstering our starting pitcher stable while I'm at it. We not only get our Corona, but we get user player Cole Shackelford in this deal. There we go. Here's a closer look at my Corona. Now we'll take a look at the user players from season number 1. If you want to submit a user player for this season's draft, follow the template found in the description. If you do not follow the template, you will not be chosen. Also, priority will go to those who do not already have a player. Starting pitcher Blake Westcott is still in Marlins AAA, doing very well and close to MLB ready. Starting pitcher Tyler Frick is already in the majors as the 4th starter in Cleveland. We've actually played him this season. Left fielder Kendall Brown was acquired by the Tigers this offseason off of the Blue Jays, and he's one of our best players. Third baseman James Watton is the starter for the Washington Nationals, and he's doing fine. Third baseman Ben Nost is in Red Sox AAA, doing very well. First baseman Matt DeFonso is in the Nationals AA, doing all right. First baseman Preston Kinney is in the Twins AAA, and he's doing terrific. Starting pitcher Braden Young is still in Twins AAA despite being the 3rd best starter in the organization. Starting pitcher Mark Leota is the 4th best starter in the Royals organization, but sitting in AAA as well, though he's not really performing there. Starting pitcher Yogi Archibald is the 4th best starter with the Phillies, but is in AAA doing very well. Starting pitcher Matty Dublin is in AA with the Mariners, pitching fine. Starting pitcher Cole Shackelford was just acquired by the Tigers, and he's got some work to do in AA. Right fielder Reginald King IV has been in the bigs for a while with the Astros. We've played him a few times, though he only has 4 at-bats this year. Third baseman Adam Azzarola is still in Single A with the A's. Starting pitcher Ryan Butler's in AA with the Diamondbacks, and he's pitching all right. Shortstop Gavin Tenksa is in AA with the Orioles, and our AA squad's faced him a few times. He's having a rough year this year, though. Shortstop Kristen Colon Jr. is in AA with the Blue Jays and doing well enough. Right fielder Rowdy Miller is in AAA with the Nationals, and he is tearing it up. And finally, starting pitcher Ryan Schaefer was acquired by the Tigers in the offseason and is in AA pitching very well for us. I really hope you enjoyed this edition of our annual scouting episode in the Detroit Tigers franchise. Drop a like on this video if you enjoyed the depth brought to this franchise series, and subscribe for much more Tigers franchise. Franchise is all we do here at Franchise Gaming, where we build winners together. If you're interested in more videos, click this playlist to get started.